Throughout its 189 episodes, you can always count on one thing while watching Phineas and Ferb: that the brothers will come up with a really cool invention and that it'll get broken by the end of the episode.
Mom! Dad! Look at what Phineas and Ferb did in the backyard!
Hey guys, I'm Brad with WickedBinge, and this is Phineas and Ferb Inventions, Dumb to Brilliant. There are a lot of days of summer vacation, and thereby also a lot of Phineas and Ferb inventions. So this video will only cover some of the most memorable. Let us know if you agree. We'll be starting with the dumbest and work our way to the inventions even Einstein would be impressed by. Our first category is the cool but already invented. Here, we'll cover some really cool inventions. Unfortunately, they've already been invented long before Phineas and Ferb got around to making them. First, we have Swinter. This idea came to Phineas when he realized that it would be cool to have snow in July, and so they created a hybrid between the two seasons.
Why have snow in the winter when it's too cold to enjoy it?
Although fun, Swinter pretty much exists in the real world. Lots of places have snow and a warm climate at the same time, and so we'll have to rank this at the very bottom. Sorry guys. Our next invention is the roller coaster. Roller coasters were a frequent invention in the show, but for the sake of simplicity, we'll only be covering the one from the very first episode. Although roller coasters might sound boring, the boys make this one a little more exciting by including a pit full of fake snakes and a bucket of mud. The roller coaster also spans across the entire city, and although not intentional, takes them to space, where they don't need space helmets for some reason. Weird. Phineas and Ferb also show that they know more than just engineering, by marketing their roller coaster with posters at the local shop and by getting building permits. Despite all of this, it's still just a roller coaster. After watching a documentary about Howard Hughes and his plane, the Spruce Goose, Phineas and Ferb aim to beat his record of the world's longest wingspan. However, they make their plane, the Paper Pelican, out of paper, not wood. With a little help from their friends and the Fireside Girls, the plane beats the record by 1 inch. And that's not the only thing going for the Paper Pelican.
Co-pilot's instruments?
Check.
Unlike its predecessor, the Paper Pelican also has passengers, a full staff, and grub, even though it's just insignificant peanuts. Sorry, Buford. We can't rank the Paper Pelican any higher because it had to do a water landing, making the plane dissolve and only lasting a single flight. When Candace asked Phineas and Ferb if they could do something normal for once, like a lemonade stand, they take her idea and run with it. They don't just set up a lemonade stand. They create a giant robot in their backyard that can make the lemonade for them. An increase in demand also resulted in Phineas and Ferb creating a franchise of lemonade stores called P&F Lemonade. This is impressive. It's hard running a store, never mind a franchise. They must have gone through the trouble of buying locations, hiring employees, and creating a system for getting the lemonade to the stores. We can't rank this invention any higher, as the franchise ran out of lemonade in a single day when the giant robot malfunctioned due to lemon juice and a paper cut.
Go home, you losers! We're dry!
I guess robots can experience pain. Wanting to see the star their dad bought for them online, Phineas and Ferb built not one, but 2 rockets capable of going to space. Seeing as rockets usually take several years, millions of dollars, and sophisticated machines to build, making 2 in a day is impressive. The rockets have several faults. First of all, one of the rockets can't launch, resulting in them having to jumpstart it, which can't be a good sign. One of the rockets also runs out of fuel in the middle of space. Again, not great. Lastly, Candace's rocket is ruined by an asteroid shower. However, that might be Candace's fault. When Candace asks her brothers to build a backyard fort better than the neighboring kids Thaddeus and Thor's, she's disappointed with the basic result. However, we all know that Phineas and Ferb are gonna have something else up their sleeves. With the press of a button, the fort rises to be 10 stories high, each with its own unique design. The fort also has everything you can ever need, like a main entrance with marble flooring, a pool with a gigantic slide, a telescope, a terracotta army room, a jet engine wind tunnel room, an orchestra, and a bowling alley.
Nice going. You broke their brains.
And who's to say that the fort doesn't include its own rockets, roller coasters, or its very own P&F lemonade stand? The possibilities are endless. Next is the gray area. This category is reserved for the inventions that are full worthy of their title, seeing as they've never been done before, but that still aren't brilliant. Our first entry in this category is the mix and mingle machine that Phineas and Ferb make to cheer up Candace after Jeremy cancels their date. The machine might be best described as an in-person dating app. It quickly spins around and lets you talk to new people for a limited amount of time before it starts spinning again. It's in the name. You mangle, then you mix. The Mix and Mingle machine also gets a few extra points for its emergency ejection option, which lets everyone in the machine free.
A simple ice cream cone might have been more effective.
It's an important detail, and we all know that Phineas and Ferb aren't always great with the details. Next on the list, we have the Anti-Gravity Fun Launcher, a machine that lets whoever is in it float in zero gravity. The machine might sound revolutionary, but as the name suggests, it's just for fun. We're sure that Phineas and Ferb could have done a lot more with this invention, hence the ranking. After drinking a couple of boring smoothies with their friends, Phineas and Ferb create the state-of-the-matter transfer device in order to make more exotic smoothies. The device smoothifies anything in front of it, including chicken, a romantic dinner for two, and Candace.
What does it feel like?
It feels like you're in big trouble.
The device is simple, but it works as intended. We've also ranked it a little higher on our list because of its option to turn things back to its solid form. When Baljeet is concerned that he's losing his mental edge, Phineas and Ferb construct the Cerebral Stimulator Hat, also known as a Brain Booster, to help him gain it back. The Brain Booster is a cool device, and Phineas and Ferb could probably make even better inventions than the ones on this list if they were wearing it. We have to rank the Brain Booster on the lower part of our list, seeing as it backfires when Baljeet, who's wearing the hat, becomes a threat to humanity by bringing Earth's atmosphere to the moon. We're sure Phineas and Ferb could make some changes to the hat to make it less detrimental, but until then, it's in the gray area.
You try to eliminate the atmosphere one time.
Next on our list is the Molecular Separator, a machine that splits something into its component parts.
I don't want to taste two things at one time. That's unnatural.
The machine could, for example, split a mule into a horse and a donkey, and shampoo conditioner into shampoo and conditioner. The molecular separator could do a lot for mankind, but we had to rank it a little lower on the list because we don't know much about it. Hearing that the famed comet Kermelian is going to pass the tri-state area, Phineas and Ferb create the Observatory to watch the comet. However, as expected, the Observatory isn't just an ordinary observatory. It also includes a laser show, with the grand finale where Phineas and Ferb laser their faces onto the comet so that they can show their grandchildren one day.
You guys put your face on a comet? Ooh, I'm telling Mom.
The invention is selfish, but let's be honest, it's cool. In anticipation of the Russian astronaut Sergei Kushnerov's birthday, Phineas and Ferb create the stratospheric ionizer to wish him a happy birthday. The stratospheric ionizer is simple. The boys make a microphone, and whatever you say into that microphone turns into a message displayed in space. This machine eventually saves Sergei and everyone else on board his spaceship when Candace tells her mom to turn around. The message is then displayed in space, warning Sergei of a dangerous obstacle coming their way.
Those boys, they have saved our lives!
The stratospheric ionizer is a unique invention, but communication between space stations and Earth already exists. We don't see how the invention could be used other than warning and wishing astronauts happy birthday. The invention is selfless, and we'll give it extra points for that. After getting ripped off by the fake X-ray glasses they ordered online, the boys make their own fully functional ones. To do this, they dip a pair of glasses into super concentrate carrot juice, which then allows them to see through objects and people, just like an X-ray machine. Not only do they make X-ray glasses, but they also make an ordering system so that people can get a pair of their own. Furthermore, Phineas and Ferb use their own glasses to help the people in their neighborhood. Again, we appreciate the selflessness. Our next invention is the shrinking submarine that the boys invent to travel inside Isabella's dog Pinky to retrieve Isabella's sash. However, the submarine ends up in Candace when she eats the cheese sandwich prepared for the dog.
That's creepy on so many levels.
Although submarines already exist, shrinking ones do not, hence us ranking it in the gray area. Furthermore, the shrinking submarine is two inventions in one, the submarine and the shrinking ray, and that has to count for something. When bad weather prevents Isabella and her troop from earning their achievement patches, Phineas and Ferb take things into their own hands by creating a biosphere. Not only can the biosphere change into different climates, it also includes everything you need to make the climates realistic, like flora and fauna. The biosphere could have a lot of uses in the real world, and this is also where we get the iconic Set the Record Straight song, so extra points for that. The next invention on our list is the spring that the boys use to hurl the whale Mingle planet away from Earth.
Based on my calculations, the planet will be here by midnight.
The spring might not be as cool looking or sounding as some of the other entries, but it's effective at what it's trying to do. It also saved two planets and mankind. Finally, we have the brilliant inventions. Inventions that could change the world if only they didn't get ruined by the end of the episode. Our first invention in this category is the interactive video game. Inspired by one of Buford's video games called Jump and Duck, the boys make their own game with multiple levels, enemies, arenas, and even a final boss. And it gets better, as the game allows whoever is playing to be transported into the game and experience the challenges for themselves. However, there are still some faults with this invention, making us have to rank it last in the brilliant category. When first entering the game, there's no way out, making it so that you have to finish the entire game before exiting. The final boss transports to the real world for an extra challenge after you've defeated it.
You look like a nice guy.
Not cool. We also don't know what happens when you lose your 5 given lives, but no matter what it is, it can't be good. Next is the animal translator. This one is self-explanatory. Animals talk into a microphone, and the device translates their moos and purrs into common English.
Aren't you a little young for interspecial communication?
The device is also seen working on basically every animal in Danville, including squirrels, birds, and even lions. Why are there lions on the loose in Danville again? Anyway, Phineas and Ferb use the animal translator to help the animals in Danville understand the human world and our devices like TVs, and they also help the owners understand their animals' needs. We do have to rank it a little lower on the list because we never got to hear what Perry had to say. Poor guy. When visiting the museum with their family, Phineas and Ferb spot an unfinished time machine on display. Naturally, they decide to fix this machine and get it into working order. They then travel back to prehistoric times with Candace, where a T-Rex steps on the machine, destroying it. It's here that we begin to see some problems with Phineas and Ferb's plans. First, they don't have any way to travel back to modern times once the machine is ruined, which seems like an oversight. By a strike of sheer luck, however, they're able to tell Vanessa and the Fireside Girls that they're stuck.
Please turn to the time travel section of your Fireside Girls Handbook.
Vanessa and the others then build another time machine according to Phineas and Ferb's plans that they just left for some reason. But there's still troubles, as the machine requires electricity, something that obviously didn't exist in 300 million BC. Again, oversight. From the time machine to the transporter. The transporter, though, isn't as self-explanatory. It doesn't work like the other transporters we see in movies, where you step into one of them and it transports you to another transporter in a different location. No, it works by putting a picture of something or someone onto a screen, then the something or someone will zap onto the machine.
Oops, I forgot to install the fly filter.
The machine works great too, with it transporting everything from an apple to Grandpa Reg's feet. Yikes. Other than the surgical removal, the machine could be really useful in real life. I mean, it's a lot better than sitting on a cramped airplane for hours. You know, I'd risk the amputation. Barely cheated from the bronze medal, we have the portal to Mars. It's similar to the transporter in that it takes you from one place to another. The portal to Mars doesn't work as flawlessly, and the portal somehow breaks down the second Candace has entered through it.
Candace is probably laughing about it as we speak.
Phineas and Ferb then have to fix the machine, which shows us that the portal to Mars also can transform itself into a portal to Venus, prehistoric times, and a portal to the future. Which makes the time machine useless, by the way. The portal to Mars is a brilliant invention, and it would save us a lot of time, money, and effort as we get ready to send humans. However, due to its faults, we can't give it that precious metal. The invention we can give the bronze medal to is the mind machine. The mind machine was originally created by Phineas and Ferb to cure Irving's fear of the color lavender and Baljeet's fear of contractions. Nonetheless, the machine can also do a bunch of other stuff, like helping Candace remember how the gift Jeremy got for her look. The mind machine might not sound as cool as some of the other inventions on this list, but the mind machine could have a lot of uses in real life. Seeing as it can cure fears, the machine could probably be used in therapy and save us a lot of hours of talking. It can also be used for remembering. And who doesn't need help remembering where they left their keys? I do. Taking the silver medal, we have the supercomputer that Phineas and Ferb build to ask what the nicest thing they can do for their mother. The supercomputer analyzes data from all events in the tri-state area and comes with super accurate predictions based on that data.
What is the nicest thing we can do for Mom today?
We don't think we need to tell you that the supercomputer would be really useful in real life. For everything from medicine research to telling you the answers to your math homework, it could probably also tell you where you left those keys without you having to go through your entire subconsciousness. After all, its data is complete, its logic infallible. And the gold medal goes to Finadroids and Furbots. After realizing that summer was beginning to end and they still had a lot of unfinished plans, Phineas and Ferb created the Finadroids and Furbots, collectively known as Brobots, to execute all their plans for them. This worked great, to say the least. And the Brobots didn't just finish all their projects, they also started new ones and built their own overpriced coffee stand. So 90s.
And that one's having trouble falling asleep.
And even though the Brobots only have 2 modes, work and dance, they're still incredibly effective and could probably finish all the inventions on this list in a matter of minutes, and even create their own. They probably make more coffee too. Alright, with gold, silver, and bronze handed out, this list is over. Which of Phineas and Ferb's inventions are your favorites? Let us know in the comments below. And remember to hit that notification bell. But most importantly, stay wicked.